Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and I'm just out for a stroll today, wearing some minimalist shoes on concrete and hard surfaces. And we've been talking about minimalist shoes a bunch in the last week. Had a couple videos that if you haven't seen, you should just check out the description box. We talked about some minimalist shoes, Vivobarefoots, Softstars, and a lot of people are commenting on all these things. So one of the big questions that has come up is the expense of minimalist shoes. Everyone, including myself, is wondering, why are these dang things so freaking expensive? Why, if they're minimalist, can't they be cheaper? And I think one thing that we need to keep in mind is that it's actually difficult to start a physical product company, to have the know-how, to get the designs all set, to get, like, especially for shoes, getting the actual mold for the foot and like getting that set up takes a lot of time and a lot of back and forth with a factory. And then the factory has to be able to make enough money to pay its workers, in addition to the actual company that is wanting to do this, to be able to pay its workers. There needs to be enough charged at the endpoint, right, to the consumer, to cover all these people's expenses. And I think that's where these things get really hairy. So I actually have a friend who makes minimalist dress shoes. They're zero drop dress shoes, and they're cool. And I've gotten to see just like how much work it's taken for him to actually put that together. Like, he's constantly flying back and forth or sending emails or whatever to the factory here, there, wherever, to figure out how they're going to change the design, how they're going to address things. Sorry, there's something being built over there, so it's a little loud. So he has to deal with problems with fit and feel, right? So I've actually tested some of the Barefoot minimalist dress shoes, and I've tested a bunch of his shoes, and he has to send them to me, and then I send them back. Like, all these things incur expenses. Then there's also the marketing of all this. Wow, I'm just in the noisiest place possible. There's a truck backing up over there now. I think it's really easy to forget that there's a lot of work that goes on in the back end, and you need to recoup those costs. A place like Vivobarefoot, Softstar, whatever, they need to have websites, they need to market all this stuff, and they need to educate people about how important barefoot minimalist shoes are. I think what would be awesome is if larger shoe companies just one day said, here, let's actually start making shoes that fit your feet properly and don't throw you into a big heel, and then everyone would be happy. But they'd also have to educate consumers, and then they'd probably still charge a lot because it's a new thing, and if you can charge more for a new thing, a lot of companies will, because they have costs. So I don't really know what the solution is beyond, somebody out there with a lot of money just saying, I'm going to make shoes and I'm going to make them the right fit for people's feet, and I'm not going to charge enough to make a profit. That seems like the only way that works. Maybe we can get the investors in Uber and Lyft and DoorDash to throw money at a losing business idea. Anyway, another thing that's come up is style. I think people need to remember that style is highly, highly, highly variable and subjective. So I mentioned in my first review that I like the style of the Vivobarefoots, and somebody actually replied in one of the other videos about how they think Vivobarefoot is overstyled. And some people said, you know what, Lems are really ugly, and then other people said, no, Lems are the ones that look good. So what I've seen from traveling a little bit across the United States, I've lived in different parts for short periods of time, and then I've been around the world, different places, is that there are different regional styles. So if you are in Germany, for example, the types of pants you wear and the footwear you have is very specific. If you're in Colorado, the types of shoes that look like they fit properly to the style and the environment you're in are different than what you would want to wear in, say, New York City. It's just different. And so when I'm talking about like Softstars, I mentioned that they look a little bit like bowling shoes, and that they probably look better if you live in the Pacific Northwest, is exactly that. Like, if you're in a specific location that has a certain style, then that is where it's gonna fit, right? Like, if you're in Colorado and you're like, oh, Vivobarefoots, those don't look good, those are way too city folky. Well, I mean, yes, the bias is inherent in you, right? So pick your style based on where you're at and what you actually like. In a more urban environment, I like Vivobarefoots, but if I lived in the backwoods of Washington State or Oregon, then I'd probably not want to wear Vivobarefoots because I would look like a girly man. Maybe, I mean, I still look like a girly man, but it's okay because all the men in metropolitan areas are girly men, right? So, yeah. And now the biggest question that came up that I think is important in terms of health is the question of minimalist shoes and flat feet. So people were asking about flat feet, like flattened arches, and don't I need to have arch support, and don't I need to have orthotics to boost my arch? Isn't that how you keep an arch? And I want to be very clear about this because we've actually done videos on this in the past. You don't get a stronger body with better control, better mobility, better stability, better anything by adding crutches unnecessarily to your body. And in fact, by creating dependence on crutches and throwing crutches all over your life, you do not get stronger. So what I want you to do is think about the most strong, vital people you know out there. Are they people who have depended on crutches to get to that situation? If you think about the people who look the healthiest, who move the best, who aren't in pain, who have bodies that just move well and feel good, ask yourself whether they got there by walking on crutches, literally walking on crutches, or using canes, or putting orthotics on, or putting their feet into poured concrete and making sure that their muscles can't work. The human body doesn't get better and stronger by adding crutches all over the place. If I told you that the way I got good at holding my arm out to the side or holding my arm up overhead was by tying a rope to my wrist and then just suspending it up like that and holding it there for 5-10 years, you would look at me like I'm a total idiot. Because the ultimate goal is to have independence, sovereignty, whatever you want to call it, and the capability to do the things that you want to do. I gave you an example of my arm and being able to move my arm like this, right? That has to do with the muscles that control the bones. It's not about just positioning the bones artificially in a specific position. The same thing is true with your foot. If you want to maintain an arch, you need to train muscles to create an arch and to maintain that arch. If you just use artificial crutches to hold the position from it, with an external force, then you're not going to be able to hold that arch without that. So if you are wondering about how you can maintain or create an arch, make sure you stay tuned because we do have some videos that Vincent did on how he fixed his really, really, really flat feet. And also check out our Instagram page, feed, whatever it's called, because Vincent did actually just put up an exercise up on the Instagram page specifically about building muscles in the arch of the foot. So you will probably find that really helpful too. The takeaway for your feet, your hips, whatever body part we're talking about is that crutches don't make you stronger. It's just, that's not how it works. You don't become better at anything. You don't get good at anything. Your body doesn't become resilient if you're constantly supporting it with something. Quite the opposite. The more support, the less challenge you give to your body, the more your body atrophies, the worse your body gets at doing the thing you want it to do. The key is to only give enough support to challenge your body safely, right? And with arches, with orthotics, with these fancy shoes with thick soles and high arches, you're not training your foot to do much. You're just putting your foot into a rigid position and then letting the foot muscles atrophy. And that, my friends, does not give you healthier feet. If you want healthier feet, your feet need to learn to move and adapt. Again, check the description box for links to other videos that'll help you just get your feet moving and feeling better. So that's going to be it from me today. If you have more questions, more comments, more ideas, more confusion, whatever, you can drop it in the comment section below. I won't answer every single comment, but if there's some good stuff, then maybe we'll film another video about this topic. Thanks you guys for engaging on this topic. It's actually surprisingly fun, and I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, share it with somebody you know who has flat feet or is thinking about getting some expensive minimalist shoes, and always remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.